Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Sonic X Shadow Generations, and how fitting, as we start off on, well, the boss fight that you didn't get to play in the Shadow portion, but you do here, which is why you didn't get to play it in the later game, because you play it here. Whatever. Time travel. It's quite bizarre. But in any case, though, this boss fight plays out a little bit differently than the fucking happy slaps that you saw in the cutscene, in the sense that, yeah, you're chasing those, little ion charges. By the time you collect 2 of them, well, either you or Shadow will have the power. And in this case, basically meaning that either you're going to be supercharged with the power Emerdoodle, and either you'll get to reduce Shadow to atoms, or Shadow will reduce you to atoms. But, yeah, as we all know from Shadow's story context, yeah, he's... well, that's kind of difficult to say, really. Like, I mean, in Sonic Generations, as this game, it was literally just... I'm evil, this is a rival fight, whereas in Shadow's context, it's pretty much a whole case of, swapping the Chaos Emeralds, and he needs to deal with Black Doom, so, yeah. Bit of an odd, writing quirk, but I'll allow it. And, yes, if Sonic wins, he gets the dulcet tones of Live and Learn. If Shadow gets it, then he gets Crush 40's All Hell Shadow. So, yeah. Little musical differences if either you or Shadow wins the day. But anyway, reduce the rings as you atomize him. Or basically just injure his back, thus proving that he is unable to continue. And Bob's your uncle. And, yeah, it does also have a nice little remix of, For the True Story, from Sonic Adventure 2. Did also briefly play in that cutscene in the Shadow portion of the game, but, it's neither here nor there in this case. In any case, though, as we take one last look at the Space Colony arc, we can finally move on to... Seaside Hill. Now, part of the reason for my groans and grumbles is because when it comes to modern Sonic, this is pretty much the equivalent of modern Sonic's Green Hill Zone, because it's been overused to death in either, like, mobile phone spin-off games, and especially the All-Stars Racing games, specifically. I don't know whether it's just because Sumo Digital just likes the stage very much, but, I don't know. I will at least give Classic Sonic's portion this. It does try and, like, ape a few elements of Hydro City Zone, as well as, you know, the water stage has gone by, but that's pretty much the only real concession I really have towards it. Apart from that, it's just sort of, I mean, again, it does contain a few elements that were there in the original Sonic Heroes. Like, again, you're going to be running away from, you know, oscillating pillars. You know, you're going to have a few rolling balls and all that just sort of chasing after you. And, I mean, in terms of the graphical detail, Generations does make it to be a very visually beautiful-looking stage, in heavy contrast to the fucking PS2 version, which was, whew, not very good. The Xbox and GameCube versions actually did look kind of good, and, yeah, invincibility. Spikes cannot damage me. I am invincible. Whoopee. But yeah, for our banging tune of the now, we have, Let the Speed Mend It from Sonic and the Secret Rings. I know, quite a snazzy little tune, and I will say that Sonic and the Secret Rings, in terms of, like, overall Sonic soundtracks in the entire series, Secret Rings, I'm hard-pressed to say would either be my 3rd or 4th favorite, really. I mean, the soundtrack is just that fucking good, man. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I might as well go through some Sonic soundtracks. I mean, after all, it is the Sonic Generations, after all, but I mean, in terms of Sonic the Hedgehog soundtracks, in terms of my favorite, whew, bit of a tough one to pick, but, number 1, Sonic Adventure 2, kind of goes without saying, really. And 2nd place would be Shadow the Hedgehog, you know, I really like the way that game sounds. Number 3 would be Sonic and Knuckles, and taking the 4th spot, I'd say, would be Secret Rings. With, I mean, you know, honorary 5th place going towards the Sonic CD US soundtrack, then Sonic Adventure, so on and so forth, but, you know, I'd just sort of be here all day just listing banging tunes. I don't think Classic Sonic can get crushed, but I didn't hang around to find out. I'm not even keeping this in tune with the Indiana Jons. Although, a slightly amusing anecdote, as I was watching television last night, yeah, I don't know whether this is because people just don't give a shit about, like, you know, broadcast television anymore, because, yes, I am one of those fucking saddos who still watches, you know, television as broadcast as opposed to streaming a lot of the time, but, yeah, anyway, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was on last night, and they called it Indian Jons and the Temple of Doom. They missed out the Indiana and the Jones with the E, so, yeah, people getting a bit lazy, or leaving it up to computers. Very poor form. In any case, for this version of Sonic Heroes, I basically left it to the titular tune, Sonic Heroes, which I can't recall if I got to let play in the credits of the, the Sonic Heroes game, because I think I switched it up with the Nelsons with the Team Chaotix theme song, so yeah, for those of you who want to listen to this over my waffling commentary, Sonic Heroes. Pretty decent tune, and yeah, not too bad. As for modern Sonic's variant of the Seaside Hill, you do get to explore a fair bit of the stage, and it does give you a few nooks and crannies to, give you some unique vistas, but on the whole, though, I just sort of find Seaside Hill to be a very meh stage. I mean, it does play up a few of the more wall-jumping gimmicks that, Sonic Unleashed sort of took and ran with, but, yeah, not really too much to really write home about in terms of the design. Again, it's a decent stage, it's just that, I'm gonna come out and say it, I think the Sonic Heroes representative that, one that I definitely would have fucking picked for the game, it either would have been Mystic Mansion or Hang Castle, or it would have been Egg Fleet. And that's one that I think a lot of people were really harping on about back in 2011, and one that I was really hoping for with the fucking, prospect of DLC, but no, all we got was the fucking Casino Night shit, and that was pretty much it, which was kind of disappointing. I don't know. I mean, again, not a terrible stage, but come on, Mystic Mansion would have been fucking sick as hell. I mean, not to mention it would have been a unique stage gimmick. It doesn't, copy Green Hill Zone's fucking trifecta, and, it's saying something. Sonic Generation back in the day actually caught a lot of flack for using a lot of city levels in terms of its picks, but, I mean, I don't know, like, I guess you could technically say the same thing about, the naturey stages, like, again, you have typical Green Hill because, it has to be the anniversary, I get it, but, I don't know, like, I mean, you technically have this, which is also technically a naturey stage with, ancient ruins, then you have Planet Wisp, which, does have a large swath of, alien nature, so, I really don't know what people are getting at, really. I suppose it is part of the reason why people were sort of banking on a Generations 2 back around the time of, well, before Frontiers was its own original thing, really, but, yeah. I don't really know what the consensus would be on having another Generations game, since, I mean, at least maybe not by this stage, but, I mean, certainly, after the preceding decade of, nostalgic gimmicks, I don't know, I guess maybe it depends on whether or not the gameplay quality is enough to sort of stack up with the level design is decent enough, but, yeah. I don't know, I guess it's all just a matter of not sucking, which would depend upon the success of another Generations style game, even if it is, doing the whole nostalgia thing. Though, I mean, personally though, I mean, if I can have any hopes for the next Insert Sonic game whenever that's announced, I do sort of hope that it does sort of continue its own, original thing, and again, much to the media nerd's chagrin, does sort of continue the sort of thematics of, Sonic Frontiers, but maybe sort of improves the design so that even cynical grumps like him can enjoy video games again. Yes, even the media nerd can enjoy a game again. And, much like that rolling pillar that just crushed me, there goes my hopes and dreams when they inevitably announce, well, what's the next decade's equivalent of Sonic Lost World, Sonic Boom, and then Forces, and then I'm right back to square one about being an angry grouch. Anyway, cutscene time, go now for boss. Oh my god, it's perfect chaos, and it's all slimy and naked. Well, yeah, you might be wondering what the deal is with Perfect Chaos apparently having skin. This actually does sort of tie back to some of the earlier concept artwork for Perfect Chaos that actually stretches back to the Saturn era of Sonic. Because, yeah, initially Chaos was meant to have some serpentine skin, which you can partially see on some of the Echidna murals, in the finished game, but yeah, in the Saturn version, and you can only really see this from some of the early storyboards that show classic Sonic, clashing heads with a Chaos Zero, but yeah, they show the serpentine eyes and the very reptilian skin texture all over Chaos's Biolante flesh. It does kind of play at a little bit of odds, because you later come to learn that both not only was Chaos, well, related to some Sonic Frontiers spoilers that I'll get into a bit later, But in turn, it was also a mutated Chow, which, again, if you've seen those little blubbery cherubims from that video I made, well, the review I made quite a while ago, yeah, it's meant to be like some sort of like weird watery plasma surface, and yeah, how exactly you get skin from that is quite strange. Unless, of course, it bonded with an animal, maybe, but who knows, really. Although, then again, that could also tie in with the whole, you know, the bio-lizard, as we saw in Shadow's portion, so maybe I'm just talking out me butt. Retroactive continuity paying off, me laddie-o. I don't know why I'm doing an Irish accent, or to while talking about Sonic. But anyway, to talk about the boss fight good and proper, though, I do quite like how they stylize this one without relying on Supersonic, and yeah, something I actually kind of forgot to mention, and what I was trying to do here, I guess to sort of replicate Sonic Adventure, yeah, no Supersonic and no Super Transformations during bosses, which is kind of sad, but yeah, thankfully though, Sonic has the power of his boosty Hammerdoodles, which are his fate and natural ability. Basically meaning that you can boost across the water provided that you have ring power, but yeah. Yeah, you're not quite as reliant on ring energy, and you can pretty much just sort of keep going. Oh my god, evil! Yeah, they still do the thing where they play the cool Crush 40 remix thing, and, you know, then they do the whole dun 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 generic evil danger music, oh no, whatever. But I mean, at the very least, it makes a little bit more sense for this segment than it does the other ones, because, you know, this one actually is sort of challenging for Sonic, and it's doing it in a way that hasn't been done before. You know, sort of throwing him for a loop a little bit, especially as I kind of lose. But yeah, now you're going to see the fall of Solidus-Skully, where the recording curse strikes again, because I never usually have trouble there. I'm usually able to get the section down fairly easily, but for whatever reason I just had a shitload of fucking trouble there for... Well, okay, I wasn't supposed to be having trouble there, but now it's just sort of fucking up all over the place. But you wanna know something? Still much better than the fucking SGV likes to play run back in 2020, because Jesus fucking flip biscuiting Christ, some Call Me Johnny's performance in that was shocking. But oh well, that's long into irrelevancy at this point. By the time you're seeing this part, it'll be, well, 5 years ago. But in any case, though, putting all that aside, decently reimagined boss fight, although, yeah, not quite as big of a fan of the Crush 40 Open Your Heart remix, because it, you know, it sort of downplays the energy of the song a little bit. I mean, it's not a bad remix, it's just sort of, not quite as action-packed or energetic, really. But could this be the end of Zombie Sonic the Hedgehog, where the franchise is quote-unquote saved or ruined? Yeah, seriously, what the fuck is going on there? Why is it blocking my path, and oh dear god, I can't believe Sonic's fucking dead. And if you listen to the fans, he's been fucking dead for quite a while now. Yeah, well, whatever. The franchise always goes through periods of the series is saved and rescued and okayish, and, you know, then you sort of reach a nice middle ground, which is where I'm at the moment, where some things can be better than others, and I'm just taking it as it comes, baby. I'm gonna play it on cruise control, take it on easy street. Population? Me. But don't worry, this time I'll get it for sure. And yeah, another thing to point out about the Sonic X Shadow Generations portion, because yeah, the original Generations also had lies. Well, lies? No, it had lives. Again, you can technically turn this on for the Generations portion if you so choose, but yeah, the Sonic X Shadow Generations port actually, you know, allows you to play without lives. Thank fuckity goodness for that archaic trapping being gone. But anyway, now that we've finished around here, take this!